So we'll start with Timos and Goodman for the opening statement.
Is this on already? It's alright, I'm loud enough. Hi everyone, my name is Timos Pietris. Oh, no. Sorry guys.
Hello.
Awesome. Hi guys, my name is Timos Pietris and this is Goodman Lakota. So as many of you know in this room, I am the current student body president, and throughout this past year I've had an amazing experience not only working with a great team, but learning and finding out more about myself and how I can better operate and better act for the student body, working for the goals and the issues that are important for you, bringing about meaningful change and encouraging my board to do so. One of the biggest things that the students always say is that student government needs to do more for the students, and that is exactly what this administration, many of us here were on our board this year, and bringing on Goodman brings not only my experience to a different person's views, but he brings on a whole different perspective, being an international student outside of student government, and an amazing repertoire of skills. But I'm going to pass it on to him for a second.
Hello everybody, my name is Goodman, and...
Sorry.
And we'll move on to Joni.
Hi guys, my name is Joe Puglisi,
Hi guys, I'm Amy Makeshop.
and there's a lot of things that we all know. We know we have a huge problem with our current registration system. We know we need to expand our internship and career opportunities so that we have a database that's more user-friendly, so that our students can find meaningful job opportunities, and so that our graduating seniors have a database they can use for after when they graduate. We know that we need to change the status quo of SGA so that our organization can become effective again, so that it can become a home for all students. We know all of this. But one thing I do know is that there's a lot of people in the audience right now that don't know me and don't know Amy and don't know what our campaign stands for. And we just hope in the next hour that you guys can blind yourself to the flashy campaign material going around, you guys can blind yourself to the friendships you may have, and for the next hour, look at the issues, look at the candidates who are proposing the best solutions, and make your vote off that, because we know that in that hour we would be your candidates.
Thank you. And we move on to Brandon and Nick.
Hi guys, I'm Nick Totolo. I'm running for Executive Vice President.
Hi guys, my name is Brandon. I'm running for Student Body President. And I'm just going to talk about 3 things it takes to succeed in a leadership position. And that's having ideas, having a formula for change, which my formula is recruitment, inspire my team, get them to understand my ideas, and then have them go out and execute them. And then the third thing is having actual leadership skills, because without them you won't succeed your ideas, right? So I got this wise quote from Tumblr, and it said, "A true form of leadership is equal part of vulnerability and strength wrapped in a blanket of genuineness." So please keep that in mind throughout this debate. Thank you.
So the first question is directed towards student body president candidates, and we'll start with Joe for this one. Students cite a variety of issues that are facing themselves here at Marist. What would you say is the most pressing issue for students in the upcoming school year?
Definitely. We got this. So I've worked in the Vice President of Academic Affairs spot for the past 2 years now, and in that 2 years I've realized that biannually we have this great concern called the registration process, and that all of you guys, regardless of what major you have, regardless of what field of study you're in, we've all had to wait hours outside of our department chair's office to try to get into the classes that we need to graduate on time and that we need to take for our major. And the fact that we have to go through this grueling process is not something that's acceptable. The first order of business under our administration is to fix the registration process. We actually have, as I showed at debate speech night, a 12-page proposal already been written to submit to the administration that has the backing of the 2 largest faculty committees on campus. And if you do elect us, that is a problem that we will address the first day we get in office. Yeah,
Brandon?
Sure. So my belief is that culture is key, right? So I think that what Marist students want inside is more school spirit. And what comes along with more school spirit, that brings in more diversity. And when I say diversity, I mean diversity in interest, diversity in ethnicity, diversity in like just general things that make up a person, you know? So when it comes to what the key issue is at Marist, it has to do with what each person feels should be the culture of Marist. And it's our job as student leaders to create that culture. And if we can have everyone on the same page of our campus culture, then we can effectively make change, such as registration or fixed parking, because then it's not student government just doing the job, it's our entire campus doing the job, right? So being able to collaborate as a team through amping our school spirit and our school culture, we'll be able to effectively challenge and handle student body issues.
Thank you. Timos?
Yes, thank you for the question. So, we have a lot of issues on this campus, and no one's denying that, and every college campus has its own host of issues. So to say that one issue is paramount among all is to not really take all of them into account, because for different people, different issues are important. For freshmen, the dining hall where they eat all of their meals, they have the unlimited meal plan, that to them is a gigantic issue. To seniors, it might not be as so. Registration, for freshmen, again, sophomores, juniors, but seniors get pretty much every class that they need. So we have a lot of issues, but more importantly, we have big opportunities. One of the biggest opportunities that we have in front of us is a new president. This is the third time. This is the third selected president we've ever had. This is the first time in 37 years we have new ideas coming to campus from the top down, and it's our opportunity to address the greater issues of the campus by taking storm of the leadership and ensuring that our issues are heard and there is action upon them. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And just apologies, we'll allow for the 15 to 30 second preparation time on this question and the subsequent ones. So just, again,
We'll forgive you this time.
a high sign if you don't need that full time. So the second question we'll be starting is directed at the student body president and the executive vice president, and we'll be starting with Brandon and Nick. The question is, each ticket in this race has at least one member that has previously worked in the Student Government Association. However, a frequently heard criticism is that SGA does not do enough for students on campus. Why do you think your records in student government warrants you to lead the organization? And I'll give 15 to 30 seconds to prepare for each ticket. That's the end. It's the end of the 30 seconds. And I've been asked to repeat the question, which I will for any candidate at any point, if you'd like. Each ticket in this race has at least one member that has previously worked in the Student Government Association. However, a frequently heard criticism is that student government does not do enough for the students around campus. Why do you think your records in student government warrant you to lead the organization? Brandon and Nick.
First, we just want to point out that out of all the candidates that are up here, we're the only two on the same ticket that have both been involved in student government in prior years.
So to follow up with that, I think the main thing is that as student leaders, I think sometimes we have this preconceived notion that it's our job to do things for the students, but we can do things for the students, but we may not know if that's what the students want. So we have to find effective ways of actually going out there and getting the information. So I think Nick and I are qualified for this position because our campaign is a reflection of that. A lot of people, I think, I believe the candidates may not know what our ideas that we want to implement are, and that's a reflection of us actually going out there and talking to the groups on campus, finding out what it is that they want after we present our ideas, them giving feedback, us tweaking our ideas, and then we establish our ideas before we present them. So that's exactly what we believe is the key component to this.
She knows a good one.
To answer your question, this is why I think me and Tim is actually the most attractive ticket in this race, considering that one, I'm a sophomore and the only sophomore sitting here, and one, I'm the only international sitting here. And I think that the outsider perspective that I'll bring into the SGA will actually bring a dynamic energy into the SGA. And it speaks to why I'm actually sitting here with Timos, which is the whole narrative of better together. He has the experience, he has been in the SGA, and I have the outsider perspective. And that's pretty much what I would say in referring to that question. Yeah.
And so having 2 years of experience in top leadership of student government has taught me that it's not about the singular person in student government. We work as a team. We are a cabinet and we are a senate that works together in order to ensure success for all the student bodies. So in order to say that student government has been successful, you have to show that everyone in student government has played a part in success. Thank you.
Joanne?
So I like to think we're the best of both worlds because I actually have served on the SGA. I was the representative for the School of Management on the Student Academic Council, and I was there for a year and then I went abroad. So I like to think I have a little bit of experience with SGA, but I haven't been a part of it for long enough that I'm clouded by not realizing what the whole student body as a whole needs. So I provide that as well.
And the other thing that we have in regards to what our administration can do is this great thing, two things, their ears and eyes. So the sovereign voice of the student body has spoken loud and clear, and I don't think we need to go searching for the problems facing our school, and I don't think we need 25 problems that are made up out of the administration's hat to think of the things that we need to address. We've addressed the 6 main issues that are facing our school, things like the registration process, expanding our internship and career opportunities, changing the status quo of our college, working on parking issues, making SGA more communication related with the students, and lastly, just proving that our organization can be a home for any and all students. We don't need to go searching for these things, they're right out in the open, and the fact that the other administrations don't see that proves why we're the most confident.
Thank you. For this question, we'll start with Timos.
It's only for student body president candidates. After I finish reading the question, we'll allow the 15 to 30 seconds to think about your answer. The question is, with the upcoming transition to President Yellen, there are many opportunities for the student government organization to create a new identity. How would you describe the identity and role of student government to our new president? With the upcoming transition to President Yellen, there are many opportunities for student government to create a new identity. How would you describe the identity and role of student government to our new president?
So I think that's a very important question that addresses what we said in our opening statement. The campus is changing. We have the leader of this college is someone new, someone that doesn't understand what this college is all about in every single facet. Dr. Murray has been here for 37 years. He understands what's going on. Mr. Yellen is brand new to this campus. He comes from a law school. He comes from working with graduate students. He doesn't have the same idea of what this campus is all about. And that's why having someone in my position who is coming from a previous year of leadership as student body president is important for the next student body president. To be able to say, if nothing else, hey, we always had pancake parties with Dr. Murray on Saturday, so we have to continue this tradition because he doesn't know better. He doesn't know better what the narrative was between us, but the narrative between us going forward needs to be that we're better together. Goodman and I are better together. Student government and Mr. Yellen, we are better together. This campus is better together, working hand in hand with President-elect Yellen in order to create a campus that is as much more inclusive than we are now, constantly building every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
So the one cool advantage I have with President-elect Yellen is that he was at a law school, I study law, so we already have a connection and we can talk about things. But the one thing that we're going to address that actually does matter to uniting our school is that we're proving that SGA is a home for everybody. As a commuter student, it's pretty hard to think that we'd stand a chance in this election, but we're faring pretty well. And when President-elect David Yellen comes to the school and he sees that anybody can come, run in student government office, win the highest election possible, and form a cabinet that is composed of the most diverse and united organization that our school has seen in years, that's how we're going to prove to him that our school is united. He's not going to think about the previous fracked infrastructure that we've had. He's not going to see the communication issues that we've had. All he's going to see is an organization that's united as one, that's here to speak for the entire student body and do so effectively.
Thank you. Brandon?
So in regard to how I connect with David Yellen, him and I are connected on LinkedIn. But Nick and I are the best together. Simply because this is it, right? This is the time of change at Marist College. So when we are trying to implement and promote the new culture of Marist, this is it. And we, as leaders and who have both been involved in student government, can actually keep culture. So what's culture? Culture is if your mom says, be home before the lights go on, or my mom says, be home before the sun goes down. You know, so as you get older, you get to choose what you want to keep in your culture. You choose what you want to keep in your tradition. So as both of us being involved in student government, we know what Marist traditions are. So when we are implementing this new culture and this new prestige that Marist wants to be, we can continue to creating this new culture while keeping some of what we believe is good from the old tradition. So that's why we think we are the best together. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So the next question will be directed at the Executive Vice President. And this one, an important part of the job is working together. So we would just like to ask, why did you accept the position on your ticket? So Amy will be the first up to answer following the preparation.
So being honest, when Joe approached me about joining SGA as Executive Vice President, I said no. I had worked on SGA before, and I really enjoyed my experience working with students, but not so much with the SGA part. And then as I thought more about it, I realized how much of a good time I had working with Joe. I was part of the process working with registration, and I really enjoyed giving back to the professors and the academic side of Marist College, because after all, that's why I'm here. So after thinking about this, I said I should go into SGA. I mean, if I want to change something, I should be part of that change. And Joe and I have worked before. We spent a whole year working together before I went abroad, so this isn't like a brand new pairing that we just did for this election. This isn't some random pair that we decided to do. So I think we will work very well. Thank you.
Nick?
Something that has been shown in my speech is that Brandon and I have known each other for a long time, and he has continued to inspire me to take on new challenges and keep moving up the rank. I started as RHC my freshman year, then got involved in student government, and then went up again. And I had Brandon's support throughout the whole thing, and I think that leadership and that will to support me throughout all that is something that will definitely transform into our campaign, or into our administration if we are elected, and I think that will help us have a good administration. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, something that's very interesting is that during my freshman year, I ran for student body president when I was only here for about 7 months. I didn't even know that Gotland existed, but now I know it does. And I ran against Timos, and he had different ideals, and I had different ideals. And I think it takes a lot of character for somebody to actually work with someone that they disagree with. It can sometimes be uncomfortable, it can sometimes be seen as unusual, but it takes a really strong character for one to actually break the barriers and say, hey, you hold these ideals and I hold these ideals, and yes, we can work together. And I honestly think that campaigns are an incubator for friendships. And I can tell you now that what I knew of Timo's 7 months in the campaign is not what I know of him now. I think he's a really fun guy. Like, you know, people have their own faults, but when it comes to getting the work done and getting things done and being very passionate about the student government and being very passionate about the college itself, I think I really made a really strong choice, and I'm really proud that we're doing this together. And it shows and it says a lot about this campus, and it says a lot about differences, about where people come from, about, you know, the commonality in people. Yeah, this is why I'm doing this. Thank you.
So for this question, it's again directed at student body president candidates. We'll start with Brandon. And when I'm done with the question, we'll give you 15 to 30 seconds to compose an answer. The question is, this year a new 50 credit limit was imposed on parking registrations, and many students have spoken out against this. What would your administration do or suggest to address this situation? You can go right ahead.
Okay, so for those that don't know, that 50 credit rule was supposed to go back to the original way it was supposed to be, and Marist didn't do that. So as an administration standpoint, they didn't do what they promised us. And what I would do is go back to my original method of things to do to succeed as a leader, which, like I said, was in order to change, you need to recruit people, you need to inspire people, you need to get them to understand your ideas and reason, and then you need to execute it. So in my administration, what I would do is I would communicate this to the students, right? If I have to go door to door, I will. If I have to launch a new platform, I will. But students will understand what's going on. They'll be recruited, they'll know. I'll inspire them on the issue, and then they'll understand our ideas, so then we can execute it all as one. So that way it's not just coming from student government, but it's coming from the student body. And if you look at other private schools and other public institutions, their students, it's not student government that just responds to these issues, it's the entire students, and it doesn't actually get done until the students are the ones out there actually, you know, getting involved. So I think that stuff like this requires more than just student government. It requires us to reach the students and for us to get the students to help us respond to administration.
Great, thank you. Timos?
So I'm going to agree with Brandon on that, where you have to be forceful. And what I learned as student body president is that you need to be forceful and creative about issues. You need to be forceful in telling the administration how the students feel and what you want, the students want you to have them do. You need to communicate that, and as student body president, that is your job, is to communicate these issues. And often it doesn't happen as planned, as we can see. It doesn't happen as planned all the time. So what you have to do then is to be creative about your solutions. We launched the Ride with the Fox shuttle last semester for students to go and get groceries, go to the mall, go to the Residence Inn, go to places that they needed to be because they had that new credit limit imposed and they couldn't go and get their groceries. You had to be creative in making solutions to issues. We're proposing a bike share program for the coming year so that students can get around on campus and go, you know, if you want to go over to Campus Deli to grab a sandwich, you're not going to spend that 15 minutes getting the sandwich. Bike share program makes it much more accessible to get around. But you have to be creative and forceful, and it has not gone by that there's been a single meeting with upper administration and the board that has not come up with me saying parking is an issue, we need to do something. We need to compel them to buy new land, build new parking, solve the issue that they started. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
So the whole parking issue is a microcosm of the large issues that our school is facing. I said in the beginning of the introductions that we all know certain things about this school, and we all know that our school keeps growing and growing and growing in the amount of students that it's taking in, but it's not expanding in its capacity to hold these students. And that's exactly where the parking issue is coming from. I think it's more than just compelling them to buy new land, because I don't know if that's something that they'll think is feasible. But what I can promise you guys is that I'm here for you. I am here for you. And as much as I love working with the top administrators, as much as I love working with our club advisors, like Michelle in the background, that's one for me. I love working with them, but we're predominantly here for you guys. And this whole thing about our school growing, but not expanding in its capacity is something that won't be happening under our administration. We're going to speak for you guys. Listen, we know like the shuttle system isn't running well. There's a large part of the sophomore class that doesn't like it. And to be honest, you guys deserve better than that. You deserve people that are going to stand up to the administration, say how you feel, and propose policy solutions that will effectively address the issues concerning you, and that's what we're doing.
This will be our last question before opening the floor to the Q&A section. And this will be one that will be directed at the student body president and the executive vice president. And we'll be starting with Timos and Goodman will be starting, so after the 15th section. Candidates often talk about the importance of transparency and accessibility. What specific initiatives and projects would you undertake to make Marist SGA more transparent and accessible? So you can begin now.
Okay, so our ticket is going to launch WTF Marist, which means What to Fix Marist. So it's an online platform where anybody on campus, if you see something broken, you can actually put it online, like KKAC, and say, hey, why is the food stations closed at this time? And then the students can then vote, and then the issue that goes up in the feed, the student government will then take on the issue. Many colleges in the US have taken that initiative, and if we are elected into office, that's probably going to be one of our priorities, to launch that, to address transparency and being open.
And one thing I want to just put out there so that you guys understand the complexity of what's in front of you, for the fact that being in this administration right now and saying that we're going to do WTF Marist, for some people, when you start a new administration and you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start this, there's a timeline. We've already started. This administration has already started on WTF Marist, has already started and launched Roll Call, which is Twitter-like updates that you can go online. You can go online right now and search sga.marist.edu/roll call and see what SGA is doing. So this transparency issue, we're addressing it, and we're going to continue to address it as we go along, and the seeds have already been planted, it's growing, it's moving, and that's something that only the two of us can say. Thank you.
Joanne?
So the reason I'm running for VP is because I like to interact with students, and that's the whole point of being in this kind of position. I want to get to know you guys. So Joe and I are really pushing the idea of having town hall meetings where you have every right to come up and talk to us, tell us your ideas, let us know what you're thinking, and then we want to follow that with bi-weekly not movie screenings, like news reports on MCTV and The Circle, letting you know what is the result of those town hall meetings, because we want your voice heard, but we don't want you to have to go through social media. We want you to be able to actually come up to us and say, hi Amy, and I would love to meet you. That's why I'm here. Transparency, it's also very easy to lose your words within the internet and social media, so we feel that these town hall meetings are going to be much better than any other form of communication that we can instill for the student body.
And in regards to being the only candidates who have the ball rolling, again, that's not true. And that's why it's good that you're all here so you guys can figure this out. But we actually have a partnership with MCTV already established so that we can do these bi-weekly updates for you all so that you guys can see exactly what we're doing. As an elected official, I know it is the most important job of any person who gets voted on, that you need to be held to the public. You need to be held to everything they want, everything they say, and that public scrutiny is frightening, to be honest. But it's something that leaders need, and it's something that these leaders have.
So our response is a little funny because it contains both of what they're saying. And I had the opportunity to run with Goodman last year, and WTF Marist is something we would love to implement too. And although we're not strong with it, if we were to succeed in this, if we were to be elected, obviously we'd reach out to Goodman and Timos, and hopefully they could help us implement WTF Marist. But again, not all students are involved technologically, even though that's the current trend. So we do have to make up for the students that want that person-to-person experience, right? And I think our campaign is that reflection. We're able to actually get people involved on social media and stuff, get them involved. They actually see our posts. And then when it comes to going out there, like as far as ideas and actually getting feedback, we don't go out there to find out what the problem is. We go out there to find out what the solution is. And what we've been doing is going to groups on campus and going to different entities on campus to see like, hey, this is the issue. How do you guys think we can fix it since you guys know it best? So obviously we would love to implement something like Goodman and Timos is doing, in addition to going person to person and getting that personable answer. Thank you.
So we'll now move on to the Q&A portion, and if all candidates agree, we're just going to ask that the limit applies to the Q&A portion to 45 seconds. It seems that most people have been around there, just to allow for more people to ask the question. So if everyone agrees, we'll shift from the 90 to 45. Okay, so actually, our first question before we go to the audience, the in-house audience, we actually have a question that was live tweeted at us. So if everyone is following along, we are on Twitter and we have a question. So this one will be directed, and as discussed earlier, you both have the opportunity, EVP and student body president have the opportunity to address these questions. So our first question from a live tweeter was, what's the biggest unmet academic priority at Marist right now? And we'll give 15, 30 seconds. So Joe and Amy.
This is my ballpark. I worked as the academic affairs vice president for 2 years, so I can go on all day about the academic concerns facing us. But as I said earlier, the biggest one is registration. We have a large problem where 75% of our business classes are being overridden into, 96% of our economics classes are being overridden into, 54% of our communications classes are being overridden into, 50% of our political science classes are being overridden into. And I can go through every field of study that we have, and that's something that separates us from the other candidates. We know how to address these issues. We already have the solution. So if you want academic concerns addressed, you know who to vote for.
Brandon.
Registration will always be an issue. However, we don't think it's the heart of academics. So what I think is that we need to fix the professors at Marist. There's some adjuncts who aren't very qualified to do what they have to do to teach students. But mainly, I think the most important thing is providing equal opportunity for all departments on campus. Why is it that the fashion school is one of the top fashion programs in the nation, but they don't have enough sewing equipment and they don't have enough space? Or even the School of Psychology, it doesn't have the same equal opportunity as like business and communication. So we need to cater to all schools equally so that every student feels like their education is equally important.
Good.
Yeah, one is the fact that there are not many programs that students can select from. For example, when I came in here, I wanted to be an international relations major, but I found out that I could only take political science. So one is, I think, diversifying the programs at Marist and having more majors, because that then removes the burden. Because if you don't have many options, people will probably want to flock into the business school. So if you diversify the programs and give them more options, maybe we'll take care of the other problems.
And something that they have at NYU is a school where you create your own major. You decide from different classes and you build your own 4-year plan to do what you want to do. So if you want to do international relations, you can become you can take international business classes, poli-sci, and also anything else.
Great. So we'll move on to the Q&A from the audience. We just ask that you direct all questions to all 3 candidates.
Anyone have a question?
I have a few questions.
First of all, I just want to introduce myself. I'm a faculty member here. I'm a little disappointed that the student body didn't have questions, so while I'm asking the first one, the rest of you are on the hook to come up with one, or 2, or 3. My question I also live tweeted, but I'll ask it here now anyway. Smartphone, I figured out how to do it. So here's my question. There's a lot of emotion in the room, a lot of passion coming from all of the tickets. If you had to describe your ticket and what it stood for as an emotion, what emotion would that be and why?
So we'll begin.
I'll be live tweeting your answers.
So we'll give you the 15 seconds to prepare, starting now. We'll start with Brandon and Nick.
So this is a very generic but simple answer, and it's happiness. And the reason why we say that is because if everyone is happy, then everyone's happy. We don't have to worry about anything. So that's what our campaign has literally been doing. It's promoting happiness. And today we did a parade on campus, and we literally saw students smiling, Snapchatting, making just recording us and laughing. And we were able to bring that out of them. Like, we were able to bring out happiness. And that's what our campaign is about. We can actually make change. We can do everything happy. Like, we don't have to have no problems. It's all about happiness. We all just have to be happy.
So thank you again for the question. So I guess our emotion would be love. And it comes from the fact that love breaks all bonds. Love is all about, when you think of love, you think about either another person or your family or a group of people that you have this truly strong connection with. And that's what we're all about at Marist. We're all about having that strong Red Fox family, this tight-knit community. When you walk down to campus, you said, wow, this is the place where I need to be. Everyone has their Marist moment. You're my Marist moment, and that's what this campaign is about, being better together, being a better together, a community that is better together. It's all about the love. Thank you.
Peace and love.
Again, thank you for the question. We not only need more faculty, we need more faculty like you. So the emotion that we would be is a little different. Our emotion is grateful. Because originally I was debating even running in this race because we know we're running against two practical campus celebrities. So we're grateful for the time that we have to even debate in front of you guys. We're grateful for the opportunity to create change in our school, and we're grateful to go to a great school like Marist and potentially represent the student body.
Hi. Okay, hi, my name's Andrew Felton.
Hi, Adrian.
This is obvious to everyone. How will you guys address the growing feeling of alienation of students from SGA? They feel that they can't go to SGA, and they feel removed from it.
We'll begin our 15 to 30 preparation.
Yeah, so the three pillars of our platform is community, inclusiveness, and engagement. And I think I can speak about this because I'm in a position where I'm an outsider and I was not in the student government the past year, but I'm actually able to engage with the student government. So I feel that going into the new year, we'll be able to actually create programs that will include everybody else, and people that don't necessarily will feel like that. Like I didn't feel like that. So yeah.
And I want to give a shout out to Eric Seltzer, who's standing in the front of the room, for doing the first mobile office hours last week. So he held office hours instead of in the office, out in the Champ breezeway. And that's what student government needs to move further to, is mobile office hours. And this room actually used to be the old office.
There's the room down there.
Yeah, semantics.
All right. So Andrew, as you know, I commute to school. So my first year here, alienation described exactly what I went through. I was in SGA, but I didn't really have a role, and I wasn't sure exactly where my home was on campus. So in regards to the feeling of alienation, whether it's a commuter student, a resident student, a student who transfers to Marist, I know what it feels like to be alienated, and that's honestly the only way you're going to be able to attack this problem. And again, shout out to Eric Seltzer, not for the mobile office hours, but for the Red Fox Den that he held, because there are so many students on campus that don't like to go out and drink, that don't go party, that sometimes they want to stay in on the weekends. And he started this. He's had a plethora of events that have had well attendance, and it's for the students who feel alienated. So thank you, Eric.
Okay, so I really like this question because I wasn't going to share our campaign secret, but I will today. So what we've been doing is actually our idea was to tap into the entities on campus that are that aren't supported. So that's what our whole campaign philosophy has been. And again, I keep saying our campaign is a reflection of what we're going to do in SGA. And my entire campaign team consists of 72 people, and not all of them knew each other before we started. I see people over there who met people over here, and watching them all interact and participate together shows what we will do as an administration, is build a team of people who can interact with each other and feel inclusive. So I think our campaign is a reflection of that.
And something that hasn't been discussed in any platform that I've heard is I'm a new president of a newly chartered club, and I'm wondering how you're planning on making clubs on campus more involved, or if you have any ideas or suggestions of what you would do if you were elected in regards to clubs.
This will be to Joe first.
Bro, I don't need prep. Maybe we can prep it all. Like, awesome. So reforming our clubs is actually one of the big things that our administration wants to do. It's actually in our 6 top priorities that we've been talking about for the past 2 weeks now. And one thing that we've worked on is working directly with the CFO and the VP of Club Affairs on trying to reform our club system. We want to reform the club allocation system specifically. Again, our school is running at maximum capacity. We keep growing and growing and growing, but we're not making cuts in the right places. We need to go through our clubs. We need to cut out the ones that aren't effective anymore, and then we can use that allocation money and distribute it to the hardworking clubs that are providing things for our students.
Thank you, Daniel, for the question. So we have actually already created a new sort of club proposal, and I've been working with Aaron and Kristen and Michelle on presenting this. We've adopted it from Australia when I studied abroad, and it's literally like genius. I'm like, how come we haven't figured this out before? And basically, you don't have to even meet with anyone until the very end of your club process when you get your club together. So that would be something we would implement. I'm not going to share details now because within the next 3 days, Marist will actually see how we're going to implement that. But it's already in the works, and regardless if we win or lose, it's something we're going to implement.
So I just want to thank Danielle again for the question. And for those of you who don't know, Danielle is the president of National Foxing, which was just chartered this past semester. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to encourage students to pursue their interests and to pursue what makes them happy. And that's a perfect mission of a club, is it brings joy to her life to bring joy to others. So I think that's great. And I'm going to hand it on to Goodman now.
Just to add on that, one thing that we noticed about clubs is that you don't necessarily have to change the bureaucracy on, and have plans and how, meetings or points are distributed. One important thing that people don't notice most of the time is that when you go into a club meeting at Marist, it's a lecture style type of meeting. So you're just like sitting down and looking at the people who are leading, and you want to make it more engaging and more interactive.
Does anyone else have a question?
Hi everyone, I'm Brian Lambert. So most of you, actually I think everyone here has worked with someone else on some project in some way, whether it be student government or St. Jude or anything like that. And I was wondering if you guys could give a quick little summary of the strengths and weaknesses, but simple, of your opposing candidates, I suppose, and areas you think that maybe they can improve in.
So we'll give 15. We got 15 to 30.
How many seconds? I feel like there's a lot of people over there that
45.
45.
We just work on that. So, Brandon and Nick, just from the nature of the question, I think we can't give the 30-second rebuttal if your name's invoked, just because it would have to be real.
I get rebuttal.
We're nice people. We're all about happiness. Okay, so we'll first start with Joe and Amy. I've worked with Joe, and Joe is definitely a great worker. And I saw that he takes a lot of responsibility himself, which I thought was excellent when he was doing sponsorship for St. Jude. And I guess a weakness would be something I noticed this campaign, which I was a little taken back on, which was how he expressed his opinions towards us. I thought it could have been said a little bit nicer. I mean, I still obviously love you, Joe. I just think that was something about your character. And as Goodman and Timos, I think they have a lot of good ideas. However, I think a weakness is being able to lead those ideas to a team.
So I'll start off and just speak a little bit about Joe. And these past 2 years, I've been in the process that has appointed Joe to be Vice President of Academics. And I think he's been a great Vice President of Academics. But right now, the issue is not just about academics. He's been great at building a team, but giving meaningful work to the team has been a criticism, not from my point of view, but from his team's point of view.
Yeah. So criticism for Brandon and Nick Ticket is that I feel that if you are to be, if a team is about to go on to be student body president and executive president, they don't have to lead by emotion. There has to be some level of stability and focus, because you go into really important meetings such as board meetings and high level conversations, and you need to be focused. And emotion, like leading by emotions, is a flaw.
Awesome. So like everybody's been saying, like the three of us were really close friends before this election started, but like issues come up in these things. With Timos, I think the big thing would be transparency. I know this past year, being a board member, just getting follow-ups on where projects are going on both sides of the spectrum was a little, things would get lost in communication. It would have been better if we had more one-on-ones with the administration. It would have been better if we knew exactly what the executive cabinet was doing. And then in regard to Brandon's campaign, I know he criticized the way I viewed it, but honestly that just stems from the fact that we don't think their campaign has addressed a single issue that actually affects you guys. He did a great job building a team, but what are the issues?
Mitchell Zanders. I'm a sophomore. I've gotten a little bit of both sides of the spectrum as far as being a regular student not involved in the student government, and this past year being involved in student government, and actually, I guess, segueing into eventually being on the class board this year. And although I'm unopposed, I'm excited about that, but I'm also very disappointed because what I see the underlying problem is students aren't excited, or they don't feel like SGA is an effective means to adopt a school that they want to see. So my question to you guys is, how do you think that you can make SGA the effective and attractive means for a school that the student body wants to see?
We'll start with you.
And thank you, Mitch, for the question. So I'm going to just address the fact that you are running unopposed. But one thing I think that is key in this election right now is that there's 3 of us sitting up here, and there was almost 4 of us sitting up here. And 2 years ago, when almost 5, I'm saying. So 2 years ago, when I first ran as executive vice president, the election was frozen because only one person ran for student body president and no position was opposed. Now we have 3 people running, almost 5. You can tell the effectiveness of the administration previous by the amount of people that are running for these positions, how engaging they are.
Okay. One thing that students don't realize is that Marist is actually only 87 years old. It means that we are the generation that will create traditions in this college. Compared to other colleges like Harvard, Harvard is older than the United States itself. If there's anything, we are the generation that has to be creating traditions in the college.
Mitchell, again, I'm sorry too that you have to run unopposed, and it's that kind of mindset that actually pushed Amy and I to run. Our campaign has spent $35 in all of its entirety, and we are doing all of the campaigning ourselves. And that's because there's been this whole paradigm in student government where people think that you need to outsource and outspend your opponents to win the election. People think that you need large internal connections to win these elections. And I asked all of you guys to come in here with sort of a veil of ignorance almost to your connections with the candidates, because these things should be about the issues. And the way we're going to address the problem of no students running is to prove that if you come in as a candidate, you can debate the issues and you can still win.
I think the amount of people running is a reflection of things that they didn't see within the past year that they want to change. So kudos to everyone's passion. As far as outside resources, that's key. Like if people have outside resources that they want to bring into the school, that shows that they're going out of their way to make change for students at Marist. And again, like I feel like our campaign is a reflection of what we're going to do. And again, I like the word happiness because we want to make people feel happy and make people understand that this is a warm feeling. We can be fun and we can be emotional, but we can also get down to business and be serious when we need to be. So I would like to show both of those sides if we're elected. Like we can be happy and fun, but we can be serious. So that's what we would do for you and other students who feel that way.
Okay, so we'll move on to our last question, and then following last.
Hi guys, I'm Eric. Obviously something with student government, we all know this, everybody up here knows this, and I know that they know this, is that student government is something for the students. It's by the students, for the students. The nature of campaigns is to tear people apart. I've seen it, it's happened. If elected, anybody, because everybody up here is qualified, how do you plan to work with your opponents to come together and to achieve the best things for the greater student body?
sucks that we all have to come up here and tackle each other's campaigns. But like I said, student government is my home. I don't have any other niche anywhere else. And separate aside from these elections, like I view these guys as my brothers at this school. Like we're all really close. We all have a great friendship. And in regards to where they have a spot in the campaign, everybody has a spot in student government, not just the opponents. So to us, whether they're our opponents, whether they're our supporters, everybody's going to have a home in our administration.
Yes. So I think we mentioned it before, like we're willing to build off of people's platforms if it's good ideas and we are elected. I actually think this has been a great campaign week. I think it's actually been really happy and positive. And again, like I've noticed, like in this campaign week, we all are bouncing ideas off of each other. I mean, like you're watching people change their profile pictures because those are good ideas. You're watching people post different things on Facebook, approach things differently. And that's the whole thing of collaboration and ideas. So we don't have to, we may not articulate that to you guys, but believe it or not, like some of the things that inspired me to launch my campaign were through Joe and were through Timos and Goodman. So that's us collaborating, even though it may not appear like that sometimes.
So, I want to take everyone back to 1 year ago, just about this time. I was not sitting next to Goodman, I was sitting across from Goodman. It was not us debating together, it was us debating against each other. It was us fighting each other tooth and nail for this position 1 year ago. And here we are. Like, he's not trying to kill me sitting next to me. I'm not trying to kill him, although some might argue that this is me. This is what it's all about. This is what it's about. This is what student government is. It is not egos. It is working together because we're better together. Joe has been a phenomenal vice president of academics. Brandon has been a phenomenal resident senator, and Nick has been a phenomenal student life vice president. Bringing them all back on is exactly what we need to do. I love you. That's what she is.
Okay, so now we'll move on now to closing statements. So each ticket will have 1 minute for their closing statements, and we will be starting with Brandon and.
Do we have 15 seconds?
You guys.
So I want to end on this, is that ideas are very, very important. And if you have the best ideas, but you don't have the leadership skills to execute them, then what's the point? So when you guys consider this election, I want you guys to consider who has the ability to lead the ideas, to collaborate with maybe the candidates that have lost, to continue those ideas with the best leadership, right? And that's what our campaign is all about. It's about passing those ideas on and making them strong with our leadership skills. Being able to execute performances and flash mobs and parades show leadership skills. So for this election, we're asking you guys to vote Brandon and Nick for student body president and vice president. Thank you.
We have one final thing. Going back to our motion of happiness, if you guys, the students, are happy, then that makes us happy. So that's what we want to focus on. Thank you.
So thank you guys. So in this election, you have a choice. Besides the ads, besides the emotions, pragmatically speaking, we are the most qualified candidates for this position. We are marrying this experience with this new, fresh set of ideas. We have a document that a lot of you in this room, doesn't matter which side of the table you sit at, have commented on the fact that it's inclusive and it's extensive. And that's what we need to do. And again, we have to be better together. All three of us, all six of us, all tickets together.
Yeah. So what we have actually embodied in this campaign is the sense of community, that we want to have a community that comes together and we want to also engage students. And what is very interesting about this ticket is that me and Timo's are totally different people. He relates to students in a very different way, in a really fun way, and I relate to students in a totally different way. And I believe that coming together will be really dynamic in the student government. Will bring it like a dynamic energy and a dynamic team. I believe we're better together. Better together, better together.
When this whole thing started, I said that I wanted you guys to like sort of block out who your friends are and whatnot, and to really debate the issues. And some of the things that have been said from our campaign tonight may have been hard-hitting, but when you're meeting with these top administrators, you guys need leaders that are going to be firm but fair, and I think that's exactly what we did tonight. You guys need candidates that are going to address the issues, and in regards to that, I think our team is the most qualified. We might not have the most experience, we might not have the most friendships, but in regards to tackling the things that really affect you guys in the upcoming years, that's what we're going to handle.
Hi guys! I just want to say thank you all for coming out, and I really appreciate you listening for me. I've never done anything like this before, so it's been a good time, and I hope it really does show that any of you can run for SGA, any way, shape, or form, or get involved. And yeah, vote for Puglisi Mike in the upcoming election.
Guys, like they all said, thank you guys so much for coming out.